Labdien! Mans vārds ir Igors Ivanovs, korupcijas novēršanas apkarošanas biroja izmeklētājs. Un man ir patiesa gods un prieks atrasties šodien šeit un uzrunāt šādu auditoriju. Korupcijas novēršanas apkarošanas birojas noteikti nav vienīgā institūcija valstī, kas vēršās pret korupciju, kas apkaro korupciju. Un mēs izsakām lielu pateicību arī mūsu partneriem, kas ir gan Latvijā, gan arī ārpus tās. Tomēr šobrīd es vēlētos paraudzīties uz korupcijas izplatību Latvijā un tendencēm, ar kurām mēs saskaramies ikdienā, risinot jautājumus par noziedzīgu nodarījumu izmeklēšanu un atklāšanu. Īsumā es tomēr uzskatu par vajadzīgu arī pieminēt likumā noteiktos pamatus un mērķus. Attiecīgi, ja mēs runājam par korupcijas apkarošanu, tad likums nosaka divus darbības virzienus. Pirmais ir, ka birojas ir tiesīgs, biroja amatpersonas tiesīgas saukt pie administratīvās atbildības valsts amatpersonas par likumā izdarīto likumā noteikto ierobežojumu pārkāpšanu. Kā arī otrais, par ko es arī vēlētos šodien ar jums vairāk runāt, ir saistīts ar biroja tiesībām un arī pienākumu veikt izmeklēšanu operatīvo darbību, lai atklātu un izmeklētu noziedzīgus nodarījumus, kas saistīti ar korupciju. Kā jau noprotat, viens no atslēgas vārdiem šajā konferencē ir korupcija, un arī šo jēdzienu uzskatu par vajadzīgu tomēr formulēt, lai mēs ar jums, teiksim, būtu uz vienas nots un saprast, par ko mēs visi runājam. Korupcijas saskaņā ar likumu definīciju jūs varat redzēt, tomēr es izcelšu to, ka svarīgākās trīs pazīmes ir tā, ka ar korupciju saistītas ir valsts amatpersonas, attiecīgi publiskajā sektorā strādājošie, kam ir tiesības pieņemt personām saistošu lēmumus. Otrais ir tas, ka korupcijas gadījumā šīs amatpersonas pretiesiski izmanto dienesta stāvokli. Un trešais faktors un pazīme ir tā, ka koruptīva darbība rezultātā tiek nepelnīti gūts kāds labums šīm personām vai arī jebkurai trešajai personai. Piemēram, kā rāda mūsu prakse, nereti šīs nepelnītais labums ir paredzēts valsts amatpersonu tuviniekiem, radiniekiem, darījuma partneriem vai jebkurai citai trešajai personai. Šobrīd es vēlētos arī pievērsties tam jautājumam, cik ļoti lielā mērā korupcija ir problēma Latvijā. Es saprotu, ka šobrīd es neesmu spējīgs uz šo jautājumu sniegt konkrētu un izsmeļošu atbildi, tomēr mēs lielā mērā vadamies un mūsu praktiskajā darbā interesē tāda lieta kā socioloģiskās aptaujas, kur mēs apmēram varam novērtēt šo te problēmu, kas ir Latvijā. Un, ja mēs apskatāmies 2016. gada aptaujas rādītājus, mēs redzam, ka vidēji 23%, kas ir vairāk nekā katrs piektais šīs valsts iedzīvotājs, būtu gatavs izdarīt koruptīvu darbību, noformulēts jautājumā dot kukuli valsts amatpersonai par to, lai panāktu kādu būtisku lēmumu vai būtiskas problēmas novēršanu savās vai savu radinieku interesēs. Manuprāt, šis skaitlis ir pietiekami liels. Ja mēs salīdzinām ar citām Eiropas valstīm, tad mums ir ļoti daudz vēl jāstrādā saistībā ar sabiedrības izglītošanu un skaidrošanu, jo šis te cipars, manuprāt, apliecina, cik joprojām augsta šobrīd ir iecietība pret koruptīvām darbībām Latvijā. Kas, manuprāt, ir ļoti satraucoši, ir arī tas, ka aptaujas dati liecina, ka visvairāk savu apņēmību dot kukuli ir apliecinājuši tieši gados jaunākie cilvēki, tie, kas ir auguši un ieguvuši izglītību 90. un 2000. gados, attiecīgi tajos gados, kad Latvijā jau bija demokrātisks režīms, un tomēr aptaujas rāda, ka tieši šie cilvēki ir tie, kas apliecina gatavību izmantot šādus paņēmienus, kas ar likumu ir aizliegti. Ja mēs apstāmies statistiku, tad kopumā biežāk gatavību dot kukuli apliecinājuši arī vīrieši, cilvēki ar augstāko izglītību un cilvēki ar augstiem vai vidēji augstiem ienākumiem. Manuprāt, interesanti būtu arī salīdzināt šo dinamiku, ņemot vērā, ka mēs runājam par biroju 15 gadi, ir interesanti paskatīties un analizēt šo te dinamiku un izmaiņas, kas pēdējās gados ir notikušas, un mēs redzam, ka progress ir acīm redzams. Gandrīz 2 reizes, salīdzinot ar 2007. gadu, ir samazinājies to respondentu skaits, kuri būtu gatavi dot kukuli. Un ievērojami arī pieaudzis to cilvēku skaits, kuri atbild, ka viņi nebūtu gatavi iesaistīties koruptīvās darbībās. Attiecīgi progress ir, tas ir acīm redzams. Tas ir, manuprāt, arī liels ieguldītā, tostarp arī biroja ieguldītā darba rezultāts, darbam ar sabiedrību, darbam prevencijas jomā, kā arī nešaubīgi arī darbam apkarošanas jomā. Tomēr, kā jūs arī paši redzat, mums ir daudz kur tiekties, un tas noteikti nav īstermiņā sasniedzams rezultāts, lai korupcijas līmenis tomēr sasniegt ļoti zemu iecietības slieksni Latvijā. Vēlos īsumā nodefinēt prioritātes, kuras birojas ir noteicis šim gadam, un kur mēs saskatām šo brīdi varbūt lielākās problēmas un lielāko darāmā apjomu. Tās ir pirmkārt, tie ir publiskie iepirkumi, apjomīgi publiskie iepirkumi, tostarp tādi publiskie iepirkumi, kur tiek izmantot Eiropas Savienības fondi, kā arī prezentācijā jūs redzat, ka ir norādīts atsevišķas risku nozares. Šis saraksts gan nav izsmeļošs, bet par lielākajām risku nozarēm ir prioritizētas tādas kā būvniecība, transporta, veselības aprūpes un iepirkumi IT jomā. Tostarp viena no prioritātēm arī pievērst uzmanību publisko personu kapitālsabiedrību darbībai, kā arī tiesvaru un tiesvarai piederīgo institūciju darbībai. Viens no pēdējiem, bet nemazāk svarīgajiem, protams, ir arī darbs, kas saistīts ar politisko organizāciju finansēšanas pārkāpumu atklāšanu un tā saucamo melno kasu izskaušanu kā tādu. Vēlos pievērsties vienam no jautājumiem, ar ko ikdienā saskaros, praksē strādājot kā izmeklētājs, un tas ir izmeklēšanas tendences. Un tas, teiksim, ko mēs šobrīd redzam, salīdzinot ar situāciju, kas bija 2007. gadā, mēs redzam, ka šobrīd gan noziegumu, gan to atklāšana ir kļuvusi, ir ieguvusi pārobežu raksturu. Attiecīgi, aizvien biežāk mēs redzam, ka mūsu izmeklētajās lietās, lai atklātu un pierādītu noziedzīgas nodarījumus, mums jāvēršās pie ārvalstu kolēģiem pēc palīdzības, jālūdz viņu palīdzību, lai gūtu pierādījumus citu valstu jurisdikcijās. Jo bieži vien ir tā, ka mēs vairs nevaram aprobežoties ar to, ka iegūt pierādījumus tikai un vienīgi Latvijā. Ļoti bieži tieši ārvalstīs iegūtajai informācijai, ziņām, faktiem, tostarp arī priekšmetiem un dokumentiem ir ļoti liels pierādījumu svars, ko pēc tam mēs izmantojam, lai pierādītu viens vai otras personas vainu. Manuprāt, ļoti interesanti un izcelšanas vērts ir nevien tas, ka mēs sadarbojamies izmeklēšanas jomā, bet tieši tas, ka mēs nereti no mūsu ārvalstu partneriem arī gūstam informāciju, indikācijas, kuru apstrādājot un pārbaudot, mēs nonākam uz pēdām un arī atklājam noziedzīgus nodarījumus. Attiecīgi, ko es vēlos pateikt, ka šī sadarbība ir vitāli nepieciešama. Un ar sadarbību es saprotu nevis parastu sadarbību, bet svarīgi ir ļoti konstruktīva, cieša uz savstarpējo uzticību un godīgu informācijas apmaiņu balstīta sadarbība. Tikai šādā veidā mēs varam nodrošināt gan kvalitatīvu un profesionālu izmeklēšanas darbību izdarīšanu, gan arī organizētu un saskaņotu pieeju izmeklēšanas darbību veikšanai. Jo praksē tas ir ļoti svarīgi. Tas ir bieži atkārtots jautājums, bet ticiet man, mēs un mani kolēģi saskaramies, ka tas nospēlē nereti vienu no galvenajām lomām izmeklēšanā. Ko es vēl vēlos piebilst, ir tas, ka birojs arī sācis pēdējos gados aktīvāk pildīt starptautiskās saistības, kuras ir uzņēmusies mūsu valsts. Tostarp ratificējot OECD pretkorupcijas konvenciju, kas paredz valstī pienākumu atklāt un izmeklēt tādas noziedzīgas nodarījumus, kas saistīti ar ārvalstu amatpersonu izmeklēšanu. Birojs ir atbildīgā institūcija, kas izmeklē šos gadījumus. Tas apliecina to, ka šis tvērums un vēriens korupcijas izmeklēšanā viņš ir kļuvis daudz plašāks nekā, piemēram, pirms 10 gadiem. Kā nelielu praktisko piemēru un, teiksim tā, auditorijas informēšanai vēlos arī ieskicēt atsevišķus praktiskus gadījumus, konkrētas lietas, pie kuru izmeklēšanas un atklāšanas birojas ir strādājis tieši pēdējos gados. Viena no lietām, par ko es vēlos runāt, ir saistīta ar augstas valsts amatpersonas, attiecīgi Latvijas dzelzceļa valdes priekšsēdētāju kukuļošanu, kas notika 2015. gadā, un šīs lietas ietvaros tika arī fiksēts biroja vēsturē lielākais skaidrs naudas kukuls nepilni 500,000 eiro apmērā. Kas varbūt nav tik ļoti zināms, bet ko, manuprāt, ir svarīgi uzsvērt, ka šis noziedzīgs nodarījums tika izdarīts vienlaikus divās jurisdikcijās, nevien Latvijā, bet arī Igaunijā, ņemot vērā, ka kukuļdevējs bija Igaunijas iedzīvotājs. Un šis piemērs bija viens no tiem, par kuriem es jau iepriekš minēju, ka šeit bija ārkārtīgi svarīga, saulaicīga un precīza sadarbība ar mūsu igauņu kolēģiem, ņemot vērā to, ka, teiksim, kukuls tika nodots Igaunijas valstī, un attiecīgi arī ļoti daudzi būtiski pierādījumi atradās tieši šajā valstī, kur mēs paši neesam tiesīgi veikt izmeklēšanu darbības un kur mums jālūdz citu kompetento iestāžu palīdzību. Šīs lietas ietvaros valsts amatpersona tika aizturēta uzreiz pēc iebraukšanas Latvijā, tika konstatēts šis kukulis, un godīgi sakot, šī lieta ļoti ātrā termiņā, nepilnu gadu laikā, tika arī veiksmīgi pabeigta un nosūtīta tiesai, kur šobrīd tā tiek iztiesāta. Bet par ko ir stāsts un kādus akcentus vēlos uzlikt? Varbūt tā fabula un lietas apstākļi nav tik svarīgi, bet kas ir svarīgi, manuprāt, tas, ka šīs lietas izmeklēšanā mēs saņēmām ļoti konstruktīvu, ļoti vērtīgu un arī jāatzīmē ļoti profesionāli. Un es to tiešām saku tāpēc, ka tā bija, nevis tāpēc, ka konferencēs ir pieņemts teikt pieklājības vārds. Ticiet, man tā tiešām bija, ka šī palīdzība, ko mēs saņēmām no Igaunijas kolēģiem, bija teicamā stāvoklī, bija ļoti laba. Un, manuprāt, tas apliecina to, kādēļ mums ir svarīgi savstarpēji arī komunicēt, tostarp arī ar ārvalstu viesiem, apmainīties ar informāciju, jo tikai tādā veidā mēs varam stiprināt šo uzticību, kas palīdz pēc tam mums kopīgi plānojot un izdarot izmeklēšanas darbības. Otrais piemērs, es saprotu, ka man laiks tuvojās beigām, ticiet, man būs pāris minūtes. Otrais piemērs, par ko es vēlos runāt, ir arī saistīts ar ārvalstu amatpersonas kukuļošanu, kur fabula bija tāda, ka Latvijas uzņēmējs, atrodoties Lietuvā, saistībā ar publiskā iepirkuma rezultātā noslēgto līgumu, nodeva kukuli Lietuvas valsts amatpersonai. Arī šajā gadījumā noziegums tika izdarīts uzreiz divu valstu jurisdikcijās, gan Latvijā, gan Lietuvā, un arī šajā gadījumā bija ārkārtīgi svarīgi darboties saskaņoti vienam ar otru un apmainīties ar informāciju un kopīgi plānot izmeklēšanu darbības. Un, kā teiksim, prakse liecina, tad šādā sadarbībā ir dzimušas arī vairākas ļoti labas idejas, ir izdevies izplānot un arī teicam, novadīt nepieciešamos izmeklēšanas pasākumus. Un tas apliecina to, ka teiksim, šī sadarbība Baltijas reģionā gan ar Latvijas, gan Lietuvas kolēģiem vismaz šobrīd ir ļoti labā līmenī, par ko mēs arī esam gandarīti, jo tas mums praksē arī dod labus rezultātus. Gan Latvijā, gan Lietuvā notika vienlaicīga izmeklēšana par šo lietu, bet šobrīd lieta jau atrodas tiesā, ņemot vērā to, ka Latvijā šī izmeklēšana tika papildināta vēl ar vairākiem faktiem. Pagājušā gada decembrī tika pieņemts lēmums šajā daļā lietu nodot Lietuvā, kur tā šobrīd tiek iztiesāta attiecīgi gan pret kukuļdevēju, gan pret kukuļņēmēju. Tad šis mans pēdējais slaids, un šī arī pēdējā lieta, ko es vēlos uzsvērt. Ņemot vērā, ka mēs runājam tikai par savstarpējo labo sadarbību un pozitīvajām lietām, es tomēr vēlos ieskicēt arī problemātiku, kā es to saredzu, kas mums praksē kavē un apgrūtina mūsu izmeklēšanu, mūsu darbību apkarošanas jomā. Pirmkārt, tā ir augstā iecietība pret korupciju, kuras rezultātā daudz cilvēku ir gatavi izdarīt koruptīvas darbības, bet ļoti nedaudzi ir gatavi vērsties pret to un sniegt savu ieguldījumu, lai cīnītos pret to. Otrais, tā ir vienaldzība pret korupciju. praksē mēs saskaramies ar situācijām, kad mēs esam konstatējuši korupciju kādā iestādē vai uzņēmumā, bet tas, ko mēs saņemam pretī, ir nevis ieinteresētība darīt kaut ko mainīt, lai kaut kas tās neatkārtotos, bet tas, ko mēs saņemam, ir ignorance un vienaldzība, ka tā ir vienīgi biroja problēma. Bet tas, ka šim uzņēmumam vai iestādē jādomā pašiem par iekšējās kontrolas stiprināšanu, mēs neredzam tādu ieinteresētību kaut ko mainīt. Diemžēl. Mēs to ļoti gribētu redzēt. Trešais, tā ir neuzticība institūcijām, kas Latvijā ir redzama problēma. Un mēs to izjūtam, mēs to saskaramies, ka cilvēki reizēm, kad viņu rīcībā ir kāda informācija, nevienmēr ir gatavi to nodot, iespējams tādēļ, ka neuzticās, kas šo informāciju tiks darīts tālāk, kādiem mērķiem tā tiks izmantota, un arī tas, ka varbūt šie cilvēki nejūtās pasargāti attiecībā pret sevi. Un pats pēdējais, un ar ko es vēlos arī pabeigt šo savu prezentāciju, ir neticība iespējamām pārmaiņām. Komunicējot ar cilvēkiem ikdienas darbā, vismaz es saskatu skepsi, ka lai ko mēs arī darītu, ka mēs šo te koruptīvo vidi nevaram mainīt. Tas, ko es uzskatu, un kam es arī ticu, ir tas, ka mēs to varam mainīt. Varbūt ne īstermiņā, bet ilgtermiņā mēs to varam darīt, un to apliecina vairāk valstu veiksmīgi piemēri par to, kā šī korupcija tiek mazināta, ne tikai apkarošanas jomā, bet arī sistēmiski. Un tas ir varbūt arī tas, ko es biroja kolektīvam un arī pats sev gribētu novēlēt 15 gadē, attiecīgi, lai mēs nezaudētu šo ticību, ka Latvijā koruptīvo vidi ir iespējams mainīt, un es ļoti ceru, ka arī sabiedrība pievienosies mūsu vērtībām un mūsu mērķim un sniegs mums palīdzību, ka tas būs vajadzīgs. Paldies! Tas ir viss, ko es vēlējos pateikt.
Paldies Ivanovs kungam! Varbūt ir kāds uzreiz ātrais jautājums no zāles, ko jūs vēlētos pajautāt cilvēkam ar galvu, ka nē, jo laiku mēs vienmēr atradīsim. Paldies, Ivanovs kungs. Kā nākamo es vēlos tad aicināt... Yes, oh, yeah, you have. Oh, sorry. Es atvainojos, noignorēju.
Jā, man ir tāds jautājums par to pārobežu sadarbību. Vai nav kaut kādas problemātika dokumentu un informācijas tulkošanai atbilstoši valodas likumam, jo man liekas, ka birojam tulkošanas resurss kā tāds nav, lai varētu...
Citiem vārdiem lingvistiskā barjera.
Tieši tā, un varbūt vajag izmantot iespēju, ka šobrīd Saeimā strādā izmeklēšanas komisija, kas ir saistīta arī ar KNABA darbību, kā dot priekšlikumu no KNABA šo te jautājumu ieslēgt kā likuma paketes izmaiņu, vienkāršo tulkošanas procedūru.
Paldies par jautājumu. Varbūt īsa atbilde.
Īsa atbilde ir tāda, ka tulkošana tiešām aizņem daudz laika. Tā ir laika ietilpīga un bieži vien lietās, kas ir apjomīgas, šo te tulkojumā materiālu skaits ir ievērojami liels, kas ievērojami to kavē par izcinājumiem. Tas ir vairāk administratīvs rakstura jautājums, to es, protams, nodošu. Es nodošu informāciju attiecīgiem personām.
Jā, jebkurā gadījumā paldies tieši par šādu veidu repliku, jo tā, starp citu, lai cik lielā mērā nebūtu juridiska, bet var būt ārkārtīgi būtiska barjera. Kā nākamais runātājs mums ir kolēģis no Polijas, Grzegorz Ocieczeks, un viņš, protams, var brīvi izvēlēties vai izmantot iespēju, tā teikt, runāt no vietas, vai arī izmantot iespēju uzstāties stāvus. Jāsaka, viņa pieredze ir ārkārtīgi bagātīga, negribu to citēt vēlreiz. Informācija par mūsu panelistiem, protams, ir pieejama arī jūsu informācijas mapēs, kas attiecas uz konferenci, bet Ocieczek kungam es vēlos dot vārdu. So, you're welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thanks for invitation and congratulate the KNAB anniversary. My name is Grzegorz Ocieczek, and I'm deputy head of Polish Central Anticorruption Bureau. I'm responsible for supervision over investigative and operational activity, technical support, as well as legal matters. The Polish CBA was established in 2006, what means that we have almost 11 years of experience with fighting corruption in our country. We combat corruption in public and economic life, in particular in state and local government institutions. We also deal with activities detrimental to the economic interest of the state. The CBA has competences to identify, prevent, and detect crimes, to prosecute offenders, to conduct control, analytical, and preventive activities. I believe that our performance and cooperation with national and international partners has greatly contributed to the success in fighting corruption in Poland and in Europe. If you could imagine that in 2006, so in the year when the CBA was established, the Corruption Perception Index prepared by Transparency International ranked Poland on the 61st place, which is frankly quite low. But in 2016, Poland was placed in 29th position, which shows our progress. However, the CBA had its ups and downs, and as every anti-corruption authority, we had our problems. We, of course, made mistakes, but we also learned our lesson and become successful and effective in our job. Today, I'd like to share with you CBA's experience. I will concentrate on our recent success stories and problems which need to be solved. In 2016, in result of operational and investigative activities, the Bureau disclosed damages to the State Treasury in the almost of over 56 million euro and over 78 million euro in course of control and analytical activities. We found that the amount of disclosed financial benefits was 5.8 million euro. But I want to note that the damages to the State Treasury would have been much bigger if it was not for our efforts. For example, our ongoing cooperation with the social Polish insurance institution has made it possible to save 70 million euro in the budget of this institution, which was intended for interpretation of IT solutions. IT solutions, it's, I think so, our problems. In case of the National Health Fund, saving amounted to 27.7 million euro. As a result of CBA's activities, the process of independence of National Health Fund from the existing IT service providers has started. Moreover, in the past year, a new burning problem emerged, the so-called illegal wild reprivatization of Warsaw real estate. The CBA has conducted a number of analyses and control of the correctness of the procedures carried out by the City Hall of Warsaw. It was revealed that the City Hall of Warsaw, as statutory heir, did not participate in court proceedings concerning the so-called unclaimed successions after former owners, so the State Treasury did not acquire rights and claims to at least several properties, including their content and interpretation and the effects of decree proceedings. We have identified cases of return made by the City Hall of Warsaw of real estate, despite the fact that the pre-war owners had received compensation in the past. So far, the CBA is conducting over 100 investigations in the so-called white reprivatization. Among them are the proceedings involving a dozen properties, and one of them concerned up to 50 addresses. Until last week, 8 persons have been detained in this case, including well-known lawyers and employees of the City Hall of Warsaw. This Monday, we detained 3 more persons. One of them is a former chief of Warsaw Solicitor, and another is chief of department in Ministry of Justice. We do not rule of further detention. Furthermore, officers of the Bureau currently also conduct an investigation into the mismanagement of large size, which was done by the cooperative SK Bank. Representatives of the bank were granting investment and working capital credits to economic entities which were operating in the real estate business without actually securing credit repayment. As a result, the bank's damage was estimated at about 463 million euro. So far, 23 persons have been presented with 121 charges. What is more, in connection with a huge carousel fraud scandal related to a financial company, Bomberg, in case of which damages amounted to 2008 million euro, the CBA has developed its own systemic analysis of the case. It has been disclosed that among nearly 600 people who made the highest payment to Bomberg, every 6th was unemployed, what might have been an attempt of money laundering. Collective information about irregularities was forwarded to the prosecutor's office conducting the investigation. In 2016, the Central Anticorruption Bureau conducted a coordinated control in all that its 16 marshal offices. It concerned the financial support from the EU funds provided under selected operational programs for the period 2007-2013. The control covered projects worth around 1 billion euro. In result of the control, the Central Anticorruption Bureau submitted 5 notices to prosecutor's office about the possibility of committing an offense which was connected with inappropriate use of the EU funds in the marshal's offices on 3 voivodeships. Moreover, in connection with the order of the Minister's Special Service Coordinator, contracts for advisory, legal, insurance and security service concluded in the years 2015-2016 by selected state-owned enterprises were analyzed in order to detect potential irregularities. In this year, we also detected corruption in the supply of fuel to a biomass power furnace at the Szczecin power plant in the north of Poland. It was determined that the staff responsible for quality of the fuel in return for the financial benefits would confirm that the trucks were filled with technically appropriate biomass, while in fact they were not. The CBA agents from Szczecin detained 33 persons. Contemporary chief engineer of Szczecin power plant was caught red-handed while he was accepting a bribe in the amount of 11.5 thousand euro. As a result of the searches, more than 23,000 euro were secured. The procedure could cause multi-million losses to the determined of the state treasury's company, Polish Energy Group. Another interesting investigation is corruption in Krakow Court of Appeal. The CBA found that the losses of the court may reach as much as over 8 million euro. In this investigation, 16 people were detained. including the former president of the Court of Appeal in Krakow, and 13 people have been placed under arrest. The findings shows that in the past few years around the court was created a network of many companies linked by capital, family, and socially with the director of the court and director of the Purchase Center for Judiciary, which were carrying out fictitious contracts for the provision of consulting services, analyses, and studies. Most of these companies were created solely for the purpose of obtaining regular contracts with the Court of Appeal in Krakow, and the earnings from the court were their sole income. In fact, these contracts were not, of course, implemented. Paid-for analyses and studies were created, but they were to only justify the payment of money. To make the appearance of legality to the practice, external companies commissioned to the employees of the court performance of work, which scope was convergent with those previously commissioned by the court. The findings of the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau agents and prosecutors point out that part of the funds obtained from the Court of Appeal in Krakow was transferred as financial benefits, which was to ensure further favor and reception of further orders. As you see, despite the fact that in Poland the level of corruption throughout the years has greatly decreased, still we have much to work on. The perpetrators came up with new corrupt ways to extort money. Therefore, we, the representatives of anti-corruption authorities, need to develop new effective mechanisms to fight and prevent illegal activities. Moreover, on international level, we need to learn from each other, share our experiences and best practices to be one step ahead of the offenders. Despite the obstacles and challenges, I believe that we are doing a very good job. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for such an insight, such as case studies. Ja jums ir kāds jautājums, tad laikam tiešām aicināšu to pietaupīt mūsu jautājumu atbilžu sesijai ap 11:30, bet kā nākamajam es vēlos dot vārdu mūsu diviem igauņu kolēģiem. Un kā pirmojas aicināt uzstāties Mati Ombleru. Un jāsaka, viņa prezentācijas nosaukums ir nepieciešamība mainīt attieksmi. Mr. Ombler, you're welcome.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mati Ombler, and I'm head of the Corruption Crimes Bureau of Central Criminal Police, situating in Police and Border Guard Board in Estonia. I congratulate all the workers in KNAP for such a lovely event as 50th anniversary. So you have done a great job, and I am sure you will be making even best job in the future years. So we, as a very near neighbor, we are needing that our neighbor countries are strong, and we will sure that you make your country way stronger. So I will start a little bit about our Bureau statistical overview, which shows our working area, and a little bit, couple of words also about anti-corruption work in Estonia. We have two agencies which are investigating anti-corruption crimes. One of is our bureau, another is Internal Security Service, having a name, short name KAPO. And their area is investigate very high-level corruption issues when the public officials are in a very high rank, for example, member of the parliament, member of the government, judges, prosecutors, and so on. And all the rest will leave for us to overview, and if such people are committing crime, then we should investigate. So we are pretty young agency comparing KNAP, STT, CBA, and of course KAPO, one of the youngest here, and it means we have lots to do. But despite of that, during 5 years' work, we were actually established in 1st September 2011 and started to work as all our divisions all in the country in the beginning of 2012. We actually achieved that point which is shown in the screen right now, that those cases which were sent during 5 years period, about 60% of them were actually collected information by our officials. Only about 30 came with the reports. Something happened also with help of media and with support of other units. It means that if we are just waiting some kind of materials which will probably come to table, we only will know some part of what's happening in this kind of criminality. During 5 years period, cases which were sent to prosecution office, those suspects in criminal matters, actually only small part of them is officials. As you see, it's almost a little bit less than 20% of the suspects are officials, and most of others are non-officials which are using those dishonest people to getting their gain or aim. Now the screen shows what are the places where those officials were working, and again the slide shows only those positions which in the cases were sent to prosecution office during 5 years period. We have had many cases which are related to issues local government owned legal companies, and as you see there, we have had cases against the head of the local government, 17. We have sent to prosecution office and council of local governments 4 people, and head of these local government owned legal companies. So mostly 60 people were working in a specialist level. Then a small overview about how long it takes to investigate such type of crimes in our bureau. Its average is almost a year. Of course, there are smaller cases which maybe take only a month or couple months, and there are cases which take several years. So in those 5 years, we have managed to send to prosecution office 117 cases, and the average is almost a year to investigate such crimes. Now, what have happened to those cases which we were able to send to prosecution office? So 11% of those were closed by prosecution office, and the reason was there was not enough evidence for sending the case to the court. So 19% were closed with opportunity to use our procedural criminal procedure code, which allows in such cases where the guilt of person is small and there is no public interest providing the case to the court, it gives the possibility to prosecutors to close the case and make the obligation to the person to pay a certain amount of money to the state budget. So those cases were almost to 20%. So still in making the slide here, a couple of months ago, there were 8% of cases waiting the decision in prosecution office, and 16% of such cases are pending in a court, and almost 50% cases have got the verdict. And until the beginning of this year, those verdicts were all guilty. So about the punishment, a little bit, 40% of the verdicts and the punishments are pecuniary, monetary punishments, and as you see all the others, almost the same differences, about 20% where people up to 1 or 2 or a little bit more year imprisonment, but in real life they didn't have to serve in prison all the time. Maximum, what was in our cases, was a little bit less than 6 months the person should be in a prison. Sorry. Yep. So, here are this only mentioned here main 3 areas where our attention reached more and more. As I said, local governments and their own companies have getting more and more attention from our side, because there are so many risks. Every 4 years there are a new election, as it is in this week, and election time will end this Sunday. Hopefully everything will go good, but being here yesterday, we need to manage already some kind of issues of possible misuse of candidates' position and so. So despite of everything, it happens again. People do not want to actually learn other mistakes and so on. We again have to face new cases. Now, road office and technical inspection was definitely issue in Estonia a couple of years ago, where there were seemed to be very easy to get a driving license, of paying the bribes, about the sums of a couple of hundreds to 600, 700 euros. There was pretty easy to register first time vehicles in Estonia, which came nobody know where from Europe. They could be stealing again about maybe a couple of hundreds, maybe thousands euro. And they were very easy to, over the country, get the technical inspection done to the vehicles which needed inspection during every couple of years. So we saw the problem. We started the investigation in all our divisions in different parts of Estonia against those possible suspects, and we investigated and then sent the prosecution office. And for now, there are convicted officials worked before in a road office, more than 10 who are not working anymore. There are road office made after we sent them our memo with suggestions about possibilities to minimize the risks in the future time to happen the same thing again. And they changed the system in the road office, get rid of the possible dishonest people, and it shows right now that the situation is absolutely different. There is about only 50% of people who are trying to get pass driving exam, they are passing. It's 50. Before there was about 90 or about that. So the change is already made. We hope that this area is more honest in Estonia right now. And a little bit about the technical inspections, we have having about 100 legal companies. This area of supervision is state given to the private sector, and about 300 such inspectors were and are actually making the supervision of technical inspection. And nowadays the hot ball is on their hands to deal with such issues, because 12 of technical inspectors were sent to court. All of them were having a guilty verdict, not working anymore in the field of office. And those legal companies have right now to do, with our support, with road office support, actually find their way to make their work honest as possible. And the third sector is a medical one, which we have had a couple of investigations. One of them was in one hospital where a surgery is falsificating lots of documents, getting from recipes some kind of medicine, and falsificated documents of the patients, which after that getting state aid of incapability of work, and so on. Another case where the biggest Estonian hospital leader was got bribed and embezzled the hospital money with two other pretty high-level workers in a hospital. So the case is waiting court decision this month at the end. We have sent to the prosecution office again in the same hospital head of one department where his responsibility was public procurement documents and organizing that, and he was bribed more than 1,000 euro, and he had relations with committing several crimes, but still its case is on the prosecutor's table, and let's see what is going to happen. And again, in the next case, which we have again against the doctors right now, still in pre-trial investigation stadium, it is about 4 doctors which are falsificating documents. Some of them are getting bribed, and cases about again in falsificating documents, because that commission of state authority will give the certain people, depending those documents, state aid about incapability of work. So we need to deal with such sector. It is not only this year work or previous one, it is work with next year's definitely. They are very educated, as we all know. They are trying to help people, and they are doing very good job of that. But in doing the great job, they just doing something more, and this is not allowed sometimes. Not sometimes allowed, but sometimes they're doing this. So, and we are a little bit doing all the prevention work. This year we wanted to know how is our youth thinking about corruption issues. Do they know those risks which they are going into after they end the school? And this year, because of change the law in Estonia, first time in our history, young people getting 16 years old, they are have the possibility to vote in a municipality election time. So it happens already, and we want to just know, visiting them, having them 45 1-hour meeting time, how they feel. Do they know those risks? And what has happened was, we know that actually it's not their interest. Their knowledge is pretty low, and we need right now that we, with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Justice and support of teachers, we want to reach that point. We are meeting with teachers, trying to give some materials, teach them about those important topics, that after that they go to their classes and teach those students about those risks. So this is again for the next couple of 3, maybe 5 years, a topic which we need to deal with. So about the transparency, you see ups and downs as every country, and we see a pretty interesting thing that if our bureau was established, it is second agency which fighting against corruption by investigating those cases, and through the media people are knowing that we definitely have a way bigger problems that we were thinking before. So despite of that, more and more dishonest officials are located and prosecuted. Our transparency perception index is going better, and it looks like we're getting more transparent, but still it's only one quarter which shows the situation in the country, and we definitely need to do our job more effectively in the future years. Almost my last slide is what we need to do, what kind of steps we need for next years to take. Is it enough that only investigators and our agency are working, or we need definitely other support, and we see that we definitely need other support to get the better result in the next years way quicker than our couple of investigating cases are bringing. So very important is in the public, in the private sector, tone of the top. If the manager or director will find that this is the top we need to discuss, this is a top we need to deal with every day, every week, per year. So this is a possibility that those agencies, companies are doing everything to minimize a risk of a possible threat to be a part in a corruption scheme. Then risk assessment in both sectors are definitely important. We try again to more and more meet with different kind of people, of different representatives, and tell them that please do yourself your agency's risk assessment. Maybe you can avoid such thing which other companies do have. So certain sectors need prevention more and more. It doesn't just help to investigate a case and it fixes all the problems in the company. No, those prevention will continuously, time after time, help to raise the awareness of the people and simultaneously those agencies' clients, and make the situation in a certain area more honest. So definitely this in the local government sector, which despite of changing in Estonian situation right now, we do have more than 200 local governments, and if election is done, after a while there will be hopefully 79 only. We don't know what does it bring, but also there will be human, and human factor, as we know, can be so and so. So,
are you close to finish?
Yes. 1 minute, please. Thank you. And looks like changes take place only when something bad happens. Despite of other weaknesses or mistakes, we do not seem to learn. And special projects also seem to be help with certain kind of area to change mentality. And the last sentence for me, which was having also, oh, super good. Now we see what I'm talking. Okay. And the last sentence is we need a change attitude of the people living in our countries. Not only we are dealing with the issue, but people who are getting the information, knowing something about the bad things happening, they just don't need to keep it themselves, but they do have to send the information to us, which we can, cooperation with them, help them make better lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aitäh. And right now I would like to give a word to our next speaker within the panel is Meelis Ratassepp, the head of the Bureau of the Internal Security. Dāmas un kungi, kā jūs jau dzirdējāt, Igaunijā cīņā ar korupciju, tā teikt, ir divas rokas, un nodosim vārdu otrai rokai, kas visticamāk ar krietni plašāku vēsturi, un daudz jau zinās KAPO. Meelis Ratassepp, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, labrīt, everybody. My name is Meelis Ratassepp. I'm the head of the bureau in KAPO. At first, thank you very much for the invitation, and I pass the best regards from our colleagues to the KNAP colleagues, and we had a very effective cooperation over the years and very good understanding, and our colleague formerly told about the cases, mutual cooperation between Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and this actually shows something that we have in here in Baltic Sea region, very good understanding and very good cooperation, and I hope that we will keep this level in the future as well. Okay, a couple of points about the legality. In the fight against corruption, it is extremely important that the principle of legality is always fully implemented. In the appearance of elements of corruption offense, the investigating authority and the prosecutor always have the power within the jurisdiction to initiate investigation and prosecute, irrespective of the opinion of any person, social group, or some other authority. It will be difficult to engage entire civil society in the fight against corruption if attention is not paid to political corruption and high-level official corruption, and it will be not adequately addressed. Of course, there is a need for early corruption prevention mechanism, but law enforcement work shows whether the community entirely can tackle top corruption. Punishing corruption is a vital component of any effective corruption effort. Saying it simply, in Estonia it is possible, and we want to investigate high-level corruption, systematic corruption and low-level corruption in the same way. About the independence and autonomy. Detection of corruption is a basis for investigation, and here is a rationale to highlight one of Greco's first assessment topic: independence, autonomy, and powers of person or bodies responsible for preventing, investigating, prosecuting, and adjudicating corruption offences. As far as independence and autonomy are concerned, I think we are in quite good condition in Estonia, and we don't have taboo affairs or any other intrusive factors. We have paid a great deal of attention to the goal that law enforcement and judicial system are free of corruption, and we have achieved good results in this regard. Public trust to the legal protection system is one of the highest in our country. People's confidence creates good grounds for the successful application of the whistleblowing system, and the rise of corruption dips. If we are setting priorities, we have focused on corruption activities in such a way that criminal investigation have the broadest possible effect on the prevention of corruption in the future, and that as a result of the investigation, good governance principles will be applied also in the future. And Matti told about that, where we are focusing right now is the medical sector, road administration, and what was the third one is local governments. Yes, we still have local governments problems. But also I want to appoint the road administration example as well, that a few years ago we devoted a lot of resources to road construction related with corruption, and the result of extensive investigation, corruption in the sector, road construction, was significantly reduced, and compliance with the requirements has improved. And our colleagues right now working very heavily to, let's say, root out corruption from the other areas of road administration. About cross-border cooperation, as I already said, that we have very strong cooperation in the Baltic Sea region, all the Baltic countries and Poland. Yes, we have a similar background as well, and we learn from each other a lot, and we share experiences. And I think the case, solving the cases together, is the best example actually to make it stronger, the cooperation. But for various reasons, we have experience in international cooperation as well, setbacks, especially with non-cooperative countries. So we are knocking to the door and we are not getting any answer. We are trying from there, we are trying from there, but no response. But international organizations and multilateral frameworks like Europol, Eurojust, EPAC, and OECD help reduce such setbacks. Corruption at the highest level is a national security risk. Estonia estimates that corruption at the highest level, or endemic corruption, is a national security risk. In our security concept, which was approved by Parliament in 2010, states that corruption reduces the political, social, and economic stability in the country and undermines confidence in democratic values and could jeopardize national security. Since 2013, the combating and prevention of corruption endangering national security became explicitly one of the functions of the Internal Security Service. It has become increasingly clear over the years that the prevention and combating of corruption is a strategic task for a small state in order to protect and maintain its sovereignty and independence. Corruption as a security threat emerges when important national decisions and actions are not made or carried out in the public interest, but rather for the benefit of a narrow circle of influence or a foreign state. But security is an evolving meaning, and therefore security-related anti-corruption priorities will also change. Here I would like to mention the growing importance of ICT development and cybersecurity. Consistent recommendations and investigation reduce the risk of political corruption in state-owned companies. The responsibility to investigate state-owned companies' heads if there are security risks became our responsibility in 2011, and since then we put a lot of resources to investigate this area. And in recent years, we conducted several large-scale proceedings in relation to corruption in state-owned companies. Some companies have intentionally not paid attention to anti-corruption measures in practice or have only paid attention ostensibly. The problem is that the supervisory and management boards of such enterprises have not prioritized good governance and the prevention of corruption, or they have been corrupt themselves. The other heavily debated issue in Estonia has been the membership of politicians in supervisory boards. I have experienced from my colleagues in different countries that this is a big issue actually. Of course, there are pro and against arguments, but this kind of membership increases the risk for political corruption. Many institutions and civil societies have been in the position where poor political membership is not suitable. After the public investigations, criminal investigations of the corruption case in Tallinn Port 2015, the political parties called back their members from supervisory boards, supervisory boards of state-owned companies, and a non-political external committee was formed, which makes proposal to the minister for the appointment of members of the board according to the skills and knowledge of a person. And political appointment is not existing anymore, what concerns state-owned companies. But in local governments, we have to still work on. About the local governments, Corruption investigations had a major impact on corruption awareness and the disapproval of corruption in society, and led to major organizational changes toward preventing corruption. Unfortunately, there have also been opposite experiences. We saw how the city government of Kohtla-Järve, fifth largest town in Estonia, which should have stood for the interest of its inhabitants, during many years failed to claim 1 million damage for property simply which was stolen by mayor and deputy mayor from local people in a corruption case. And the city has serious financial difficulties today. There have been early cases. Our colleagues investigated, we investigated local governments, and local government was injured party and had not exercised its right to claim compensation in criminal proceedings. Civil actions are not filed in cases where the local council is under the influence of the city mayor suspected of a criminal offense. This autumn, the Chancellor of Justice turned to the Constitutional Committee of the Parliament to initiate the amendment of laws that, in the current form, don't allow sufficient prevention and control of corruption in municipalities. First point is to create a regulation that would ensure the recovery of material damage caused by a deliberate offense to a local government official. About the data mining, yes, from the one point, our eye is getting bigger, but the very important information, I think, actually is getting smaller, unfortunately. Corruption is a latent crime that requires a large amount of data processing and delicate approach to human resources. The more data we have, the better we can carry out strategic, tactical, and operational analysis and investigate corruption. The more we can interconnect data and interact data with each other, the faster and more productively we will get the necessary results. But one thing is clear, we should not drown in the data mining. On the one hand, we have a huge amount of data at our disposal to identify possible cases of corruption. On the other hand, it is increasingly difficult to access the very necessary data, which would be helpful to prove corrupt agreements or to follow the corrupt money and assets. Wiretapping or covert observation of messages and information transmitted by public electronic communication is becoming more and more complex in view of the development of coexisting encrypted technologies and mobile applications. Criminality hides in the dark web, and so step by step does white-collar criminality as well. It is certain that the role of information technology will grow, and this poses new challenges for law enforcement training and everyday work in the future. The preconditions for preventing threat of corruption are the systematic and long-term gathering of intelligence information in the area, monitoring corruption-sensitive processes, and timely and proportionate intervention, which differs from the detection of individual crimes. In setting priorities, we have focused on anti-corruption activities in such a way that criminal investigations have the broadest possible effect on the denial of corruption. About access to data, law enforcement institutions have access to data processed by a state institution, for example, procurement or property data and so on. Such data is important in the view of strategic and tactical analysis, but most of all, we need this data to resolve certain corruption cases. The following are data to which access is restricted because it infringes the fundamental rights of individuals, and access to this data requires judicial review and permission. We are talking here about credit institution data, electronic information which has limited access, also information that is completely offline, like covert physical surveillance or secret interception of information in the person locations. The most difficult is tracking the data which is presumably hidden in the general inaccessible environment, whether it be tax havens or encrypted private communications. Access to this data is never secured by investigating institution, and access depends on the modern technical tools on the intelligence of the investigators and in some cases poor luck. For example, if the criminals are holding the conspiracy scheme, agreed conspiracy scheme, but they are failing actually to follow this scheme. Modern technologies and human sources. Corruption is a latent crime that requires a large amount of data processing and a delicate approach to human resources. Despite the growth in data volumes, work with human sources and sometimes old-fashioned methods continue to be very important in detecting and verifying corruption. And when this happens systematically and consistently, then we have experienced good results. Modern technologies and the whistleblowing system create strong symbiosis with the fight against corruption. Sorry for small letters and small pictures, but we have a limited time, of course, to present different cases. But I would like to briefly introduce Estonia's largest and most significant corruption offense, which took place already in the period 2004 and 2006. During the construction boom, but the final judgment only came into force in 2014. But despite of the final judgment, the consequences of the corruption investigation already had in place some years after the investigation, before 2010. The Minister of Environment, who was also the head of the one coalition party and the Director General of the Land Board, abused systematically bureaucratic mechanisms and the discretionary power to work in the interest of the narrow, high-level business sector. One of the bribe givers was the owner of the Merko and Merks, one of the largest construction companies in the Baltic states. Businessmen were able corruptly exchanged land with protected nature restrictions, land parcels owned by the state and located in real estate development areas in Tallinn. The minister and director received corrupt assets. The minister agreed to acquire, and the director general had hidden participation in the bribe giver companies. Crime should not pay off, and this is an example of corruption that does not pay off. One of the largest parties in Estonia, according to the number of the members, ended its activities due to its chairman's corrupt activity after some years a public investigation before the final judgment, definitely. Corrupt businessmen will not be able to regain their former reputation and will have to prove themselves again and again in order to gain back confidence from society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Un, jā, tagad dosim ļoti ātri vārdu mūsu lietuviešu kolēģim Daumantas Pocius, Lietuvas īpašā izmeklēšanas dienesta. Viņas departamenta vadītājs ir mūsu nākamais runātājs, so you're welcome to have your 15 minutes, but if you had less, everyone would be happy. Thank you.
Okay. Hello to everyone. It's an honor to be here on this very special occasion. And I'm Daumantas Pocius. I'm head of Vilnius department of the Special Investigation Service of Lithuania, Republic of Lithuania. First of all, I would like to stress that experience is not the years in the office. Experience is how opportunities were used, how innovative you are, and how institution is active. So despite we are all, I believe, oldest from the institutions present here, it doesn't mean that we are most experienced one. I will present evolution of our institution, presenting 3 cases, which are each 10 years apart. One case is, first one, is from 1997. Okay, so our service was established on 18th of February 1997 under the Minister of Interior, and it was not an independent institution as it is now. The main task was to fight the major corruption, and in the government resolution it was stated that the 5,000 liters amount amount of 5,000 liters, it would be the average salary of the officer of the special investigation. It's about 1,400 euros. And before going to the conference, and I asked the girl from the finance department, have we reached this criteria? So yeah, this year we have average salary of 1,450 euros, having total, it's brutal. Yeah. So institution was established as a special tool to fight corruption, but in the very start, our targets doesn't look very promising to the shareholders. We started from the policemen. You see the government, ministry, police department, police, and yeah, policeman is petty corruption, and it's the corruption which was seen by the all by the society as a threat and a problem. So it's a case about the bribery. At that moment we had no informants, we had no analytic capabilities and capacities to conduct analytics. So we just went to the prosecutor general and asked for permission to conduct operative activities. At that moment we had the old law on criminal intelligence, which was named differently. So we were allowed to bribe any police officer. When we talk today, it sounds funny, but at that time we were allowed to bribe any police officer, and tactical and technical means we used. We took $100 and 600 liters from the special account. We took a secret video camera and we camouflaged it in the handbag. When I was preparing the presentation, I wrote that in the clothing, but I remember that it was a mistake. We haven't had the cameras which could be enough small to be camouflaged in the clothing. So the camera was in the handbag. And the vehicle of the private vehicle of one of the operatives was used to imitate criminal activities. One of the investigators, lady, was pretending to be a friend of the operative, so it was a lot of improvisation, and it's fun to remember now. The radios we used, they interfered with the radios of the border guards. So we were on the same channel conducting the operational. So border guards were laughing at, listening to us, and we listened to them. The case looks like this. It's just we caught the policemen, we examined the crime scene, took the money, examined the money. 9 witnesses were questioned. Half of them were our workers, operatives and officers. 2 suspects were interrogated and they admitted being guilty. And there was no need to conduct the IT forensics of the records, or any expertise in finances was not needed. And we got the court decision on 27th of April 1998, and both policemen were sentenced to 2 years of correctional work without imprisonment and confiscation on 1/4 of the property. So one policeman who was leading the crime was also sentenced. The restriction to work on law enforcement institutions for 3 years was imposed. So on 2nd May 2000, the law on Special Investigation Service was accepted, and Special Investigation Service became independent institution, separate from the executive branch and accountable to the president and the parliament. So from that moment we were able to tackle political corruption theoretically, and we did the steps to be successful in that field. Also on 1st July 2002, the Department of Corruption Prevention was established in the Special Investigation Service. So apart from the criminal prosecution, we had another field of work which was covered, the Analysis of the drafts of the legal acts was conducted in order to look for the loopholes, legal loopholes for corruption. Also, the officers of this department monitored and now monitors the implementations of national anti-corruption strategy. Also prepared methodologies how to find the corruption in the processes which are used in force in some state institutions or enterprises. Yeah, 10 years later, 25th October 2007. So you see we have the targets in the municipal level. This case is about the historical historical capital of Lithuania, Trakai, and the criminals are the mayor, deputy mayor, and head of administration. So at that time, the practice how to correctly use the investigative tools as imitation of criminal activity and intrusive measures of investigation became more and more stable and more predictable, because in 1997 we just were experimenting with the law, and the judges also. So the situation cardinally changed. So we got the permission or authorizations from the judges to enter the private premises and offices. We got the authorization to use technical means and to intercept communications. We got the authorization to conduct secret surveillance. Also, we used informants. At that time, we already had enough network of informants which already functioned properly, as it should be for the intelligence institution. Yeah, and we started the criminal intelligence investigation, which later was transformed to the pre-trial investigation. Also, by the Penal Process Code of Lithuania, we can use the intrusive measures also, and the measures were maintained, having the pre-trial investigation. There are different challenges investigating corruption. There are legal challenges, there are technical challenges, and sometimes if we cope with the legal challenges and we think that we are okay, the technical challenges are this one you have to solve. So yeah, it was, we think that it was success for us to use the tactical combinations to enter the premises, which are inaccessible earlier, to organize data links to transmit information which we capture inside the premises. Also, tactical combinations, how to document the documents or money transferred by the cars in the process. So all the technical innovation and innovations were used to do this job. When we had the pre-trial investigation, it was quite a huge scale. 20 searches and seizures were conducted, 2 suspects detained, and later on 14 suspects were charged on 11 episodes of criminal activities. 46 witnesses were interviewed, and audio forensics expertise of more than 50 relevant conversations was conducted. There was no need for IT on phones, forensic, also financial audit. The crimes we investigated were the bribery and abuse of office, and in the field of public procurement. The public procurements targeted by the criminals were hundreds of thousands of euros worth, and the bribes were tens of thousands of euros. But we just caught the system which was functioning for years. So we documented the part of the systematic criminal activities and sent to the court. Yeah, so time is going very quickly. So sentences. Just have in mind the dates. The decision of first instance of court on 27th of June 2013 And the appeal court decision is on 17th of June 2017. So case was started in 2007, finished in 2009. We have court decision in 2013 and second instance on 2017. And now prosecutors went to the Supreme Court in order to have the real sentences of imprisonment, because on the first instance court, the major criminals were sentenced to real imprisonment for 7, 5, and 6 years. And on the Court of Appeals, the sentences were changed. So, yeah, despite these three guys, who are main masterminds of the criminal activities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 businessmen were sentenced also, and 5 legal persons were sentenced. Companies, these are medium-sized companies, so the fines looks not very big. Amounts of the fines are not very big, but yeah, these companies are not big also. Yeah, January 2016, the amendments to the statute of the Special Investigation Service came into force, and the legal status of the officers of the Special Investigations changed from public servants to state officials. New salary system was introduced, and yeah, we are living with this system for a year and a half and trying to change it once more to be better. Yeah, and the last case in my presentation, it's the recent case. 9 years later, after the last one I presented, it's the 21st May 2016. The case which is still in progress, and after 20 years, we reached our target. Yeah, major corruption. Yeah, we had cases in earlier, but it's the case we can present as a real case we should deal with is MPs, members of parliament and political parties, and a lot of crimes which are the bribery, active bribery, trade in influence, abuse of office, illegal collection of private data, illegal possession of classified data, illegal enrichment. A lot of crimes committed by the MPs and the businessmen who were bribing the MPs. The idea was to influence the legislation in order to have some exceptions in legislation in favor for the companies and the holding of the companies, also to influence the public procurements, major public procurements for road construction, which is hundreds of thousands of, maybe millions of euros worth. So the key members of the political parties and the heads of political parties were bribed, and the parties themselves. So I will not talk much about how we detected the crime. Just can say that the drones were used first time for our investigations. Really, it was first time we used drones, and some data about investigation. We had 26 searches and seizures. Now, at the moment, we have 8 suspects, which of them 5 natural persons and 3 legal persons, 2 political parties and 1 holding of companies, 5 episodes of criminal activities, more than 100 witnesses interviewed, from them 60 are MPs. So our investigators got known with the parliamentarians. And forensic analysis of relevant audio conversations was conducted and is being conducted in the very large scale. Forensic analysis of handwriting was conducted. Forensic analysis of computers and other electronic devices is conducted and being conducted now. Expertise of state tax inspectorate was used and their resources. Also, expertise of Central Electoral Commission was used. So, legal outcome. I hopefully will present next time on the occasion of 20th anniversary of KNAP. But nevertheless, I would stress that effectiveness of the anti-corruption organization is not only legal outcome. From this point of view, there is a social impact, political impact, and legal outcome. And all these parts together is the effectiveness of the organization. So we see now that first of all, we trust that we are not mistaken and we are on the right way, starting and conducting this investigation. And the social impact and political impact is already in force. So for country, fighting the corruption is a step forward. And we'll wait for the legal outcome and we'll see what happens after 5 years, hopefully. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention.
Ačiū, Daumantas. Paldies. And our final panelist is Jens Bomberg from Germany. Mūsu pēdējais runātājs šajā sesijā ir Jens Bombergs, Ziemeļrhein-Westfālijas krimināla izmeklēšanas biroja detektīvs un galvenais superintendents no Vācijas. So you're welcome to have your say.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jens Bomberg. I'm a senior investigator nearly since now 20 years in the field of combating corruption in the State Crime Authority in Düsseldorf. And I first will say thank to KNAP for the invitation and yesterday for the evening. It was delicious and fine. Yes, and now I start and hurry up because of the time. Yes, let me first take the opportunity to shortly introduce the German policing system to you. Yes, law enforcement policing in Germany is constitutionally vested only with 16 states. The German states are responsible for managing the bulk of Germany's police forces, and each state has its own police force. It calls, the German name is Landespolizei. These forces are organized by cities, towns, or rural communities. And every of these states has its own law, own police law, which lays down the organization and duties of its police. The Minister of Interior of the respective states supervises his or her police forces in this case. Police in Germany is divided in protective police and criminal police, and each state has additionally a state crime authority, where I come from, named the Landeskriminalamt. The North-Rhine-Westphalian police force is the biggest of the 16 states, and we are responsible for 80 million residents. Same counts for the LKA as central agency for investigating and prosecuting of serious crime. We have almost 1,200 members of staff. They are investigators, civil servants, specialists in the fields of forensic science. Yeah? And also my department for combating corruptions with nearly 25 colleagues, mostly investigators. We have mainly the following task. We have first support of the Ministry of Interior in the fight against crimes, support of the police forces in the field of crime prevention, as well as regarding the prosecution of crimes. Yes, carrying out of forensic researches, and we only can work when prosecutes crimes upon a request of a court of or a public prosecutor's office, or in accordance with the Ministry of Interior. So then we can start our investigations, yes. And we got a special unit for combating corruption, carrying out of complex investigations, proceeding often in a federal or international context. We search for close-up cooperation with specialized chambers of courts and public prosecutors' offices for economic-related crimes or white-collar crimes. Also, close-up cooperation with other investigative authorities, central auditing authorities, German Federal Armed Forces, compliance units of other authorities. We have our own tax fraud investigation department within the special unit for combating of corruption in the Landeskriminalamt in Düsseldorf. So it's only a short overview for the criminal code. That's the criminal code we separate criminal codes for the public sector, corruption in the public sector, with more higher fines, yes, and the criminal code for the private sector, yes. And since last year, we have 2 new sections for taking and giving bribes in the fields of healthcare. Until 2016, it was for a doctor not forbidden to take bribes or money from pharmaceutical companies. That's changed in our law in the last year. Yes. I give only a short overview about our strategies in cases of corruption. Firstly, formation of a task force and development of concept and strategy for investigating such cases by the head of the task force. Yes. Everything that's demand on personal milestones and time aspects. Also assessment, if requested, of legal assistance with other countries. If it's necessary, yes, we have to initiate it soon, because it depends a long time to get an answer from these countries, normally. It's also assessment, if prerequisite for initiation of a criminal tax proceeding fulfilled. Also, close-up cooperation between public prosecutors and investigators during the entire investigative proceedings. Yes, we undertake the necessary investigative methods, search, down raid, confiscation, wiretapping, also to the public prosecutors, and the public prosecutors decides on measures to be carried out and requests respective court's orders and the competent court. Yes. Involvement of financial investigators, business economists, tax investigators and custom investigators right from the beginning of the investigations. Firstly, we work with sting operations. Investigations are firstly focused on establishing the granted benefits and the bribes. Yes, that's our first focus. And we started with wiretapping, observations, financial investigations, undercover investigations, etc. So, also a part of the sting operations are the possibilities to check some persons in our databases. It's possible in Germany to find out which bank accounts a person had in the whole country. Yes, I think so. That's not in every country in Europe possible to find out. Yes, and we check all our possibilities. In the open phase, execution of court orders, so such like a search warrant or arrest warrant by own resources, national and international. Hereby we stick to our maximum quality, not quantity, and we flexible use of specialists. Yes, we make criminal checks and survey, seizure and safeguarding of evidence, including data protection, hearing of witnesses, and much more. Yes, I will go a little bit. So I present only short time 3 big cases of the past years. It was an investigation against the former Vice Chancellor of the Republic of Germany, Mr. Möllermann, in the field of financing political parties and tax fraud. There was a reasonable suspicion that he had taken bribes in context with a deal of weapons to Saudi Arabia in the beginning of the 90s. Yes. Because as we started our investigations, he jumped to death by skydiving. Yes. So we have to stop our investigations against him. Another important case was the selling from a German company 4 corvettes to South Africa with a volume of 680 million euros, and they decided to pay also 25 million euros provision for a consultant and agent who give the money to officials in South Africa. We have not the opportunity to investigate in South Africa because our letters of regations were not answered. Yes. And the former president was also involved, Mr. Mbeki, and also the president from now, Mr. Jacob Zuma, but there was no possibility to investigate in this country. Yeah. Another important case ended this year because it was a case in our state, yes, in the field of selling and buying properties in cooperation with a public organization in North-Rhine-Westphalia, and the CEO who taken bribes over 250,000 euros was punished to go to prison for 6.5 years. This case ended this year. So this is some from our prevention, so I can't translate it really good, but corruption started only with a little piece of sugar, yeah? And I will show you some given bribes, some photos, what for. Our suspicion takes the bribes, yes. This is, he said, this was also a bribe, this house, but he said, I never built in my life a new house, yeah. And he said also, I never bought a new car. He has a collection of some old Porsches, yeah. And this is also from suspicious. He only had a small hunting lodge. Yeah. This is also what for a few examples for giving bribes. Yes, in Germany in the last years. And this was for me the biggest discovery of cash money by a suspicious. Yes. He has hidden it in his table, yes, in some camera packages. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jens. Dāmas un kungi, ar manu palīdzību esam noskrējuši no trases. Lūk, arī pirmais jautājums te no zāles. Droši vien, ka mēs varētu atvēlēt visnotaļ dažas minūtes, lai tos uzdotu, ar iespēju sākt nākamo sesiju mazliet vēlāk. Lūdzu.
Man ir jautājums KNAP pārstāvim Ivanov kungam. Jūs citējāt dažādas aptauju datus, un vai nav tā, ka arī nesen bija viena aptauja, kas rāda, ka pēdējos gados KNAP prestīžs un tautas uzticēšanās KNAPam ir samērā nopietni kritusies, vai jūs to varētu komentēt? Un tad par tiem datiem, ko jūs rādījāt par aptauju, ka Latvijā ir samērā liela iecietība iepretīm korupcīviem gadījumiem. Vai jūs, kas būtu jūsu stratēģija, KNAP stratēģija, lai to mazinātu? Vai, piemēram, jūs piekrist, ka ir svarīgi patiešām rast vairākas gadījumus, kur parāda konsekvences par korupciju, un otrs, kāda ir komunikācijas stratēģija? Vai KNAPs patiešām pūlās, ja centīsies vairāk skaidrot sabiedrībai, kas ir darīts un kas ir kaitējums?
Jā, paldies par jautājumiem. Attiecībā par pirmo, par KNAP prestīžu un reputāciju, es domāju, būtu tikai godīgi atzīt, ka šāda problēma ir bijusi, ka mēs esam saskārušies, un man jāatvainojās, neesmu precīzi pētījis šos aptāju datus par uzticību, bet es pieļauju, ka šāda tendence varētu būt novērojama. Attiecībā par otro jautājumu par iecietības samazināšanu sabiedrībā. Manuprāt, tiešām ir kompleksu pasākumu virkne jāveic. Un ņemot vērā tos 3 pīlārus, uz kuriem arī birojas ir balstīts, attiecīgi, ka mēs gan strādājam ar sabiedrību, cenšamies pārliecināt valsts amatpersonas, bet ne tikai, arī pārējās sabiedrības grupas, tostarp arī skolniekus, studentus, uzņēmējus un citas auditorijas, kuras ir svarīgas pretkorupcijas darbā un korupcijas novēršanā. Manuprāt, ir svarīgs darbs arī tas, ko es un mani kolēģi veicam apkarošanas blokā, jo sabiedrībai, man liekas, ir svarīgi redzēt arī ne tikai, teiksim, šo te preventīvo pusi un šo te morālo nosodījumu, kam jābūt, bet arī rezultātus. Arī darba rezultāts attiecīgi, ka mēs veicam mūsu darbu, ka mēs iestājamies par to ideju, kas mums ir, un ka mēs reāli arī vēršamies, reaģējam uz informāciju un vēršamies pret korupciju. Tie ir tie galvenie virzieni. Par komunikācijas stratēģijas jums, diemžēl, detaļās nevarēšu pastāstīt, jo tā nav tomēr mana darba prioritārā joma. Bet paldies jums par jautājumu.
Paldies. Jums būs iespēja paturpināt tete-a-tete sarunu droši vien kafijas pauzes laikā, vai kāds no klātsošiem vēl grib pajautāt kaut ko? Droši celiet roku. No manas puses ir viens, ja? Protams, priekšroka tiem, kas atrodas zālē, nevis tiem, kas atrodas priekšpusē. Paldies kolēģiem. Sorry, welcome to have your question.
In your different presentations, you focus your attention on local, national investment, and if I am right, and you didn't mention foreign investments. And if I am right, I know that some measures have been made to attract foreign investment in Baltic countries, even in terms of access to citizenships. So how do you assess the risk of bribery and money laundering for foreign investment?
Thank you for the question. So, who of you would like to be the first? Or just you are going to prefer which of the guys on the line have to be the first to answer the question? There are no answers yet. Yep.
I would say, as regarding Lithuania, we have FIU, the Financial Investigating Authority, which are directly responsible for the money laundering. So they would be most competent to answer to your question together with the State Security Department. In Lithuania, we have filters which work quite well, examining the details of the potential residents of the country and their money they bring with them to the country. So it's up to the State Security Department and the Financial Investigation Service. We possess some data regarding the foreign bribery and corrupt officials in foreign countries, but it would be a small input from us to the main and responsible institutions which deals with that.
Okay. Yep, thank you. Actually, we had the same filtering in Latvia, but it has been given the role for the Ministry of Interior Affairs, isn't it? Yeah, you're welcome to join us. Let's switch on the mic. Yep.
In Poland, we have one big problem connected with money laundering, because our service, all service, not only Central Anticorruption Bureau, but all service, police, CBA, Internal Security Agency, haven't not directly access to the banking database. I think that it's very, very big problems, because if we have directly access to the data banking base, we need to follow the money very quickly.
Thank you. Yes, you're welcome to join us.
I think this is a very good point. You raised up foreign investments, and it is very important to know where the foreign investments are coming. Whether they're coming from transparent countries, democratic countries. Once they are not coming transparent countries, it is already red flags to all security institutions, FIUs, and anti-corruption agencies. So generally, we have to know where these investments are coming. Of course, many of these investments are laundered. It's a money laundering, and the corruption crime is not committed in Europe or, let's say, in some third country. And we have to understand also these phenomena as well, because if our countries have less corruption is hidden, we didn't have any endemic systematic corruption anymore, then we have to improve the situation as well in other countries. And I think this, let's say, the understanding of the foreign investment phenomenon is really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Dāmas un kungi, vai ir vēl kāds jautājums no zāles, ko gribat jautāt? Ja nē, tad drīkst es kaut kādā veidā noslēgšu, jo es pieļauju, ka, tā teikt, kā jau kolēģis teica, vislabākā praksa ir nevis tā, kas pavadītu birojā, bet tur ārā. Droši vien, ka vislabākā pieredzes apmaiņa ir nevis tad, kad jūs vienkārši klausties oficiālas prezentācijas, bet tā teikt, acis pret acis sarunās mēģināt noskaidrot, kas ir kas un kādā veidā tas know-how var tikt pārnest no citām valstīm uz Latviju, vai tas, ko mēs zinām, iespējams arī uz citām valstīm. Noslēdzot teikšu tāds vienkāršs vēlējums. Ja Burkāna kungs sākumā teica, ka viņa rīcībā ir sistēma, kas dažu sekundžu laikā ļauj nosūtīt pieprasījumu un pietiekami ātri to saņemt, es domāju, ka tas ir kaut kas tāds, uz ko varētu tiekties arī pret korupcijas biroju, tā teikt, sadarbības jomā un tāda tīkla veidošanā. Par uzticību aptaujām, to, ko jūs varbūt arī pieminējāt, iespējams, ka es neticētu pārlieku daudz socioloģijai vien vienkārši iemeslu pēc. Mēs esam iemācījušies pieklājīgāk uzvesties un izskatīties. Un skaidrs, ka, ja kāds jums droši vien arī uz ielas pajautāt, vai jūs būtu gatavs darīt šādu vai šādu, jūs mums gribat izskatīties labāk nekā jūs iespējams domājat. Bet iecietība vai tolerance pret korupciju, manuprāt, ir tieši saistīta ar pašu galveno, kas ir prevencija. Vislabākā prevencija ir ātri atklāts un sodīts noziegums. Tad, kad process kļūst ilgs, rezultāts vairs nekļūst svarīgs un savā ziņā procesa garums automātiski noved pie tā, ka jūs vienkārši padarat to sev par tādu sociāli pieņemamu normu. Citiem vārdiem es mudinu jūs uz ātru prevenciju, tas nozīmē ātru izmeklēšanu, ātra sodīšana, tā lai visi redz. Es gribu teikt lielu paldies kolēģiem no Vācijas, Polijas, Igaunijas un arī Lietuvas, tāpat arī Latvijas pārstāvjiem. Paldies viņiem, mazliet jūsu aplausi. Un, ko tur slēpt, mūsu nākamā sesija sāksies pēc aptuveni 15 minūtēm, domājams 10-15 pāri 12. Es vēlu jums izmantot kafijas pauzes laiku tad tiešām praktiskām sarunām ar kolēģiem, kurus jūs šeit varat sastapt un varbūt ikdienā tā neieraudzīsit. Mūsu nākamā sesija būs par moderno tehnoloģiju iespējām pret korupcijas jomā. Lielas paldies!